Jai Gurudev. Let us begin with the Guru Vandana. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. This morning, finally, I will get to the Satvic food, because food is Parabrahma, food is consciousness, food is what the mind is, and Satvic food will give the Satvic mind. Satvic mind will give the Satvic thoughts. Satvic thoughts will bring forth Satvic speech, behavior, and actions. Sattva will naturally be drawn to something good. It is always drawn to something higher, much happier, and more fulfilling. So a Satvic mind naturally is drawn to higher knowledge, to arts, music, literature, seeking God, doing meditation, and the various spiritual practices come naturally to the Satvic mind. The Satvic mind remains happier, enjoys everything around, has more gratitude and appreciation, more respect and benevolence to everything around, more content in the heart and not chasing things constantly. So the food is the primary factor which brings this sattva, which brings the sattva in the consciousness, and this sattva becomes the Satvic mind. In Ayurveda, it is also said food is medicine. That means it is actually said to be 50% medicine. So one who eats Satvic and balanced food actually does not need medicine or not much medicine. And even when one takes the medicine, if there is not the balancing diet and the Satvic diet, then that medicine will not work. A Satvic person is drawn to the knowledge, and a Satvic person is drawn to the Guru, because Guru is consciousness and Guru is that knowledge. He is that Parabrahma. And the Guru is also drawn to this Satvic devotee. He naturally tries to give more and more to the Satvic devotee, more supportive, more grace and more love to the Satvic devotee. It is not that the Guru is partial to anyone, but then one is aligned to him and to his knowledge, then naturally more and more flows to that person, to that devotee. Besides, a Satvic mind is not fault-finding, and it does not spend time in laziness, postponement. The mind is sharp and it learns quickly and it is creative, and there is a lot of clarity. So clarity in the mind means there is clarity in the buddhi, in the intellect. So there is clear discrimination arises when there is Satvic mind and the Satvic intellect. So one progresses faster in the spiritual practices when there is this clear discrimination of this Atma and Anatma. Here I am trying to focus more on a seeker and a devotee, but in essence everyone needs Satvic food, especially in this era when there is so much of awareness coming on to people in a fast way. I think everyone needs to know that Satvic food is the way to live, Satvic food is the way to eat, and Satvic food is the way to enjoy life and be more productive and more fulfilled. The first and most important thing in the Satvic food is the fresh foods. Nowadays it is so difficult to get even fresh foods. If you are living in a city, It comes from somewhere and then comes in a truck and then comes to the supermarket. It is there already probably 3 days by the time it comes into the plate. And with the advent of the refrigerators, now the food is sitting for a week or so. So there is really, in reality, there is no fresh food, and many people keep calling it plastic food. So the fresh food has more prana, which is the life force, and these are the foods which nourish the body and mind, and they create more ojas. And the ojas is directly related to immunity, and also ojas gives more bliss. So definitely one should not go for frozen, canned, packaged and processed foods. So processed foods here, I mean, everything: processed sugars, processed salts, processed flours, processed oils, everything, that you see, please look and see that they are natural, they are organic, not refined, they are cold pressed, so on and so forth. If you are using oils, only use cold pressed oils. If you are using flours, not refined flours, just pure natural flours. And if you're using sugar, use natural sugar, or use jaggery, or even patika bellam. You get the organic patika bellam now, and also the palm patika bellam. I usually use these things. I've been using them for more than 3 decades, and I only use saindhava lavanam. The iodized salt is not good. The sea salt may be next best, but the ideal salt is saindhava lavanam, or the rock salt. I get it here, even in Rishikesh. I used to buy the rock salt. You get it 2 ways. You get the Himalayan pink salt, and then you also get the kala namak, or the black salt. Black salt has more sulfur than the pink salt, and if you don't want more sulfur, then you can just use the pink salt. Milk and milk products have always been considered in Ayurveda as sattvic, and unfortunately now, to get good milk, good organic milk has become difficult. I was very fortunate during my 4.5 years stay in Tirumala and the 5 years stay in Himalayas. I always had desi cow milk delivered fresh to my door. And it was the same thing. We were eating, organic dairy products like the ghee, the cheese, the butter. The process of pasteurization and homogenization brings more kapha, mucus, into the milk, and this is what has been causing a lot of milk allergy. Especially in America, I used to see almost all the kids used to complain about milk allergy. So try to buy organic here. Try to get organic and then boil it with a little pinch of turmeric, a little bit of ginger, and if one wants, you can add saffron or cardamom, and this actually reduces that kapha and also makes the milk more digestible. And ghee is one of the most sattvic foods in Ayurveda because it produces most ojas, and it has ojas producing qualities, and also ghee helps digestion and elimination and makes the complexion clear and bright. So although it is a saturated fat, its molecular structure differs from other animal fats because it is a short chain fatty acid, and so it is easily assimilated by the body, and if used in moderation, it really does not raise the cholesterol at all. There has been a lot of false media about ghee. All the vegetarians in India, all the Brahmins in India have survived only because of the ghee. And ghee also contains vitamins A and E, And ghee is the only vegetarian oil that contains the vitamin A, which normally people tend to depend on meat and fish, etc. It also contains 4 to 5% of the linoleic acid, which is very important in the development of the body tissues and organs. All the whole grains are meant to be Satvic. Fresh vegetables are Satvic, and jaggery and rock sugar, raw honey, these are all. And if one is using the oils, please make sure they're all cold pressed oils. Even in India, I never had a problem buying cold pressed oils wherever I was. And even now, I have home delivery of all the cold pressed oils, what I want, including coconut oil, sesame oil, peanut oil, safflower oil. And even this cold pressed, you have to be careful, because sometimes in America they might say cold pressed, but they do use some kind of solvents, and also they do not use this chakka, the wooden thing that they use to press. So it is not as refined, it is not as organic and pure as this chakkagani, kachagani and chakkagani oils that you can get here. All nuts are Satvic. Only thing we say, peanuts contain more pitta. So sometimes, we in Ayurveda, they are not recommended. Instead, they say, you take almonds, more almonds, because it is a brain food. And also all the seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, melon seeds, kharbuja seeds, sesame seeds, all these seeds are very good. So many people are concerned about protein. They think, that you have to eat meat and eat eggs and so on and so forth to get protein. But there is so much of protein, vegetable protein available, Satvic protein available, and one has to be just aware of it. I think, I don't have time to go into all the details. Certainly meat products, fish products, or any of those, eggs and all, these are not Satvic. These come under Tamasic actually. It is not good to have himsa. It is better to eat food that is ahimsa. When there is himsa, then that creates bad karma. It creates that suffering that the animal has gone through, really comes into your consciousness. And you are karmically responsible for that suffering when you eat it. Moreover, when one eats many meat products and all that, then the mind is not as stable as with the vegetarian diet. There is, highs and lows, swings, and one feels that the mind is constantly thinking. It is not, on that quieter level. So the food not being Satvic, then naturally something, on that violent level, it may be on a very subtle level, keeps getting expressed, whether it is in your thoughts, whether it is in your speech, or whether it is in your behavior or in your actions, somewhere that it keeps, projecting. So when I was in US, I would recommend Ayurveda, and even small children, and they were all, eating a lot of meat and eggs and bacon and all those things. And I would not really tell them, to change the diet, but I would start giving the Ayurveda, and just the medicine of the Ayurveda, the care that is given in Ayurveda, would start raising the sattva, and then people would normally, slowly they would, by themselves, they would start becoming more and more vegetarian. In children, it was so predominant because even the parents would be shocked when, the children would say, no, I don't want to have eggs and bacon for my breakfast, or I don't want to have eggs and ham for my breakfast, or I don't want to eat red meat. They would keep wondering, where is this coming from? And that is only because the sattva is rising. When the sattva is there, then there is not so much of impurity that is produced in the body, which we call it the ama. So the less the sattva is sattvic foods, more and more ama is produced. The less the fresh foods, more and more ama is produced. And this ama naturally, it craves for foods which are not sattvic. Just like, somebody who has a pitta imbalance wants very salty foods, very sour foods, fried foods. But when the pitta is balanced, then, these foods don't interest them. And also the other things are, there are certain spices like the onion and garlic. These are not sattvic. But one might wonder and say, I would say some people pointing out to me and say, oh, I knew that enlightened person who was eating garlic. We don't worry about enlightened people because they have a cosmic mind. Their mind is cosmic. They don't have individual mind. That mind can handle garlic if it is prescribed for medicinal purposes or for digestion or something like that. So one doesn't have to take that as an example. We leave the enlightened alone. We just do what they say and we don't follow what they eat. Finally, I want to say our culture of eating 3 sattvic meals in a day is very good. Fresh food is very good. Don't eat leftovers. Don't eat from morning till night. Don't keep it in the refrigerator. Now, with this culture again, we are following the Western culture, and that is creating more health problems, because once you start refrigerating it and once you start using food from which has been sitting there from morning, then more and more ama is produced, more and more of this toxins are produced. So these impurities, then naturally they have to get accumulated somewhere, and they will be getting accumulated in the tissues, in the fat, in the muscles, in the bones, in the cells, in the in the DNA, mitochondria, everywhere. And then they have different names for these problems. We can call it skin problems, we can say arthritis, we can say vascular problems, heart disease, cancers, a myriad of these problems, and most of them are because of this ama. And the ama can be again gross or subtle. So I would say everyone move towards sattva. Our whole goal in Ayurveda is to become more sattvic, to become more sattvic, to gain more sattva, to gain more sattva, because it will keep us healthy, it will keep us balanced, and it will give us rapid progression and evolution. Even all the conventional medicine, allopathic medicines are completely pitta. They increase the heat, they increase the acidity, and they actually reduce the sattva in the body. Not only they are increasing the rajas, but they also reduce the sattva in the body. So one has to be careful. At least bring sattvic diet. If you have to take that medicine, at least bring sattvic diet, bring sattvic behavior, bring sattvic lifestyle, and then make the best of life. Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev.